One of my subscribers, and shout out to Darius Haley, had left a comment under my live stream in which they had wanted me to talk about JW Lucas, and I had told them that I had talked about him briefly in my live stream, but not to the point where I could have really gone in. I think I spent maybe a good 5 to 10 minutes talking about him. And I think one thing I made a mistake on was not reading this particular article that I had saw. I was going based off of what I had seen so far thus far and how everybody was really going in on him, and rightfully so. But I just happened to go through my comments again and saw his comment again. And I said, you know what? Let me go and type in Tariq Nasheed's name into YouTube, because someone in the chat or somewhere told me that Tariq Nasheed had talked to him on Instagram Live. And he had said something that triggered a lot of people. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you that part, because the part where they're talking to each other is almost 20 minutes long. I mean, it's not the whole 20 minutes. As a matter of fact, what you're about to hear is actually near the beginning of their exchange. So listen closely to what he says. And this right here is going to point to the arrogance that a lot of palm colored people have when it comes to Black people's issues.
This is the exposure to police brutality, the exposure to poverty.
We're talking about you right now.
And I have a level of understanding that I have not seen in the game, and I look at everyone, including yourself.
So you think that you're more qualified to talk about Black issues than Black people?
Yes, sir. Based on my fundamental understanding of the nature of reality, the nature of reality. Yeah, I say that with the utmost respect to you. I dedicate my life to this every day.
You just said that you're more qualified to speak for Black people than us.
On the solutions. Let's talk. No, we're talking about the actual ideas that are brought to the table.
What you want to do is practice.
And we can list the ideas. We're having an intellectual conversation. We're not just regurgitating shit.
Would you just admitted that you're more qualified to talk about Black issues than Black
people? And I clarified that's based on my understanding of quantum physics. The actual. Let me speak. I clarified. Listen. Let me explain.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. What you heard was like a good minute of their exchange, but there's way more to it than that. If you go to Tariq's YouTube channel, the interview is there, if you want to call it that. It's more of an exchange than anything. It's not so much of an interview. So you heard for yourself. Tariq asked JW Lucas, do you think that you are more qualified to speak on Black issues than Black people? And he flat out said, and you heard him say, yes, sir. And with confidence. And then when Tariq tried to stay on that part right there, he kept trying to dance around it as if we did not just hear him say that with such arrogance and confidence in his voice. This is the issue that many Black people have or should have when it comes to palm colored people or any other group of people who think they can speak on our behalf. And it's crazy because even if we try to talk about solutions, or if we want to talk about our plight and what's going on with us, they'll be the first ones to say that we have no right to talk about it, or they'll try to throw a wrench or jump in front of our plight and then put their self in front of us and then put us on the back burner. Only when they want us to talk about us. But you heard him say that he felt that he was qualified to speak on Black people, and then tried to go into the part about solutions and basically saying that clearly Black people aren't qualified to speak about their own problems, because if they spoke about their own problems, then their stuff wouldn't be looking like the way that it is. Well, let's start at the root problem, JW Lucas, and it's people that look like you and your ancestors that are the root of our problems. As a matter of fact, you and your ancestors are the root of the world's problems. If you want to be technical, if you really want to go there, it's amazing. They try to play superior hero while at the same time also being the superior villain. They're like the goddamn Sour Patch Kids. First they're sour, then they're sweet, but they're more sour than sweet. But they'll present sweet to you while being sour behind your back. This guy right here is trash, grade A trash. And I was right when I said that I think he had a black spouse, because someone told me that, but I wasn't sure, but I got confirmation. He is indeed married to a black woman. Now, isn't that interesting? He's married to a black woman. He's speaking very ill about a black woman who's dead. And then has the nerve to come out of his mouth and say with such confidence in his voice that, yes, I am qualified to speak, or I am more qualified to speak. He didn't say he was qualified. He said he is more qualified, as in another black person couldn't speak about their issues better than he could speak about our issues. So what's the issues going on in your community, JW Lucas? Because I've talked about many issues that's come out of the white community, but guess what? That doesn't mean that I go around selling white people that I'm more qualified to speak about their issues than they are. Because that wouldn't look good on me. Like, who am I? But see, that's the problem from people like him in his community, is the level of arrogance that they have, that they feel they can speak on anything involving us more and better than we do. That was his, as Tariq said, that was his white supremacy that came right out of it. That's right there. When he said that, his inner white supremacist came out of him. That's another branch of it right there that they don't like to talk about. And that's the thing of you feeling that you are more equipped to talk about everybody else's issues better than they are. And whatever. And the thing is, the people who are dealing with the issues can come with their own issues and give their own solutions. But that person who's not qualified will feel that they are. And it's probably because they feel that they have that high IQ and that they're better and that they're so-called smarter than everybody else. That's why you think they flaunt that IQ test around so much. Because they really think they have the superior brain and the superior mind. So they feel like that makes them better than everybody they come in contact with. And by they, I'm talking about people with his mindset. I can be honest with you. I didn't know who the hell this guy was before today. And by today, I'm talking about when the 31st of July. I didn't know who he was until today. And now that I know who he is, I wish I didn't know. But that's fine, because he's going to be easily forgettable before this year is out. Breonna Taylor, however, will not be. And it's a shame because it's a shame because this woman is dead and she lost her life so senselessly. And the only way we can remember her is through that. The only ones who have good memories of her is her family and her boyfriend. And this guy gets up in here, he says that. Now, if the roles were reversed and it was a black producer, a black hip hop producer who said what he said about a white woman who may have been in the same position or any position where her story went viral and she got killed the way that she did. He would have got way more backlash. And they probably would have threw the cherry on top and said that he was being anti-Semitic. Probably. You never know the lengths that they will go. But what I am glad is that people, black people in particular, especially those with a platform, acted swiftly with this. They didn't waste no time coming at this guy's neck. And I'm so glad that they did. And in a very good amount of time. And didn't waste any time. That shows you right there that we actually do care. Because a lot of people will say, why aren't they talking about Breonna Taylor? Why aren't they talking about her? Trust and believe, people are talking about her. And if they weren't talking about her before, him making that inflammatory comment definitely has got people talking about her now. Even if it's to roast him. But see, that's why whenever white people start talking about us, especially in the way that he's talked about her, I don't pay it any mind. Because I know it's something else going on behind the scenes in their community that they don't want people to talk about. Why do you think they don't talk about their opioids at all? Because that's a stain on them. If it was us, they would talk about it all the time. That's why they always got to bring up Chicago. And like every time they bring up Chicago, I said something's going on in that community they don't want us to know about. Like why doesn't their opioid addictions and overdoses never get publicized like that? Like you actually have to go dig for this kind of stuff. Like if I was to talk about their opioid addictions and overdoses, I have to go to Google or any kind of search engine, type in opioids and click the news tab just to find something. But if it's Chicago, you'll find it everywhere. Notice that on the MAGA side of Twitter, if you have Twitter, you'll never, ever, ever, ever see them post anything about opioids, ever. Why is that? Because they know it's mainly affecting them. If it was mainly affecting us, if we had Twitter back in the 80s and 90s with the way that they talk about the crack epidemic, they would have flooded Twitter with that because it was black people. But now because it's affecting them, they don't talk about it. And when the school shootings were happening, if they did talk about it, they'll say it was a hoax. They will, or they'll find some way to make it a political thing and say something about the liberals or whatnot. They're so predictable. That's why it's so easy for me to come on here and talk about them the way that I do, because they're so transparent. They never vary from the script. Very rarely do they ever do improv or any type of impromptu narratives. Other than that, they're not going off that script. That's why it's so easy to debunk a lot of their shit. Just like what he was talking about, which was a whole bunch of nothing. And based on his tone, you can tell that this guy has the combined IQ of a prune. So no, J.W. Lucas, you are not qualified at all whatsoever to speak on black people's issues. I don't give a damn if you feel that your inner John Brown came out of you, and even then you still wouldn't be qualified. You don't even have enough tenacity or strength in your left toenail than John Brown had. And even then, he wasn't even qualified to speak on black people's issues. But he was definitely a key component at that time, because I have yet to see another palm color person pull a John Brown. And notice that's someone that they never talk about. They'll probably talk about Malcolm X before they talk about him. In their eyes, he's a traitor, a huge one at that. I wonder why they never made a movie about him. But J.W. Lucas, this is a giant fuck you to you and anybody else who has the same mindset as you.